and I'm joined here tonight, or this evening, by Brendan.
Hello there.
How's it going, Brendan? You alright?
Yeah, I am good. I am ready to come to this race. I'm pretty excited there, so. And how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm excited too here around China. There is a possibility of overtaking for China as well, especially down at the hairpin towards turn number 14 or 13. Can't remember which one it was, but yeah, this track should be interesting. It's quite a difficult track, must be said. Very easy to lose the car, very easy to validate and spin as well. So it'll be very interesting to see how the drivers managed to handle it around here. So the first race was in South America, back at the Brazilian GP Sao Paulo, and it was, let me get it up, it was Jensen who won the race from I think he started P9 if I remember correctly. He was in that DRS train and he pitted one lap earlier than everybody else, or two, and he managed to win the race. And Shizu Tom finished in second place ahead of both Aston Martins of Jack and Andrea, and fifth place went to Joey. Joey started the pole position. It was wet qualifying, and looks like he did struggle in terms of race pace in that race as well, so maybe his setup was adjusted more to the wet than the dry setup. Will Murdoch finished in P6. He was a reserve driver, but I'm not sure if he's here tonight. It doesn't look like it, so Will Murdoch is not here. Noah Jones finished in P7 ahead of Lynx in P8, Fleddy P9, and Tito in P10. That was the top 10. And yeah, so Aston Martin then, with finishing third and fourth, they take the constructors' lead in P1 ahead of McLaren by 2 points. Red Bull finishing P3 ahead of AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo. Alpine finishing P6, Mercedes in P7, Ferrari P8, Williams in P9, and Haas P10. Mercedes, Ferrari, Williams, and Haas hasn't got points to the boards just yet, but still a long way to go. So it should be interesting to see if those teams can get the points to their name.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be in there in a minute though. So, you can overtake, although it can be difficult enough, especially like turn 1, 2, and 3 being one long right-hander, and you have to make sure you get it absolutely right.
I'm just looking for the stream to make sure we are streaming on the right channel. Hopefully we are. Yeah, we are. So yeah, we are streaming on the right channel. There we go then. We're about to go in the session. All 20 drivers are here tonight. Full house. I'm going to take you away through short qualifying. And Shizu Cone is here as well in the Haas with Shizu Simon. So very interesting to see what Cone could do. I think he wasn't here last week, and he is here filling in for Haas. So let's see what these drivers could do then. It's about to go in the session in a few seconds time, and off we go then for the Chinese Grand Prix. Due to COVID, obviously, 2020 and 2021 we didn't have China, but we should be back in the calendar, not this year, but next year, if I'm correct, Brendan?
Yeah, that's right. I think next year, yeah, it should be back.
I thought it was this year that the Chinese Grand Prix would be held, but yeah, it's not being held this year, it's next year. But last time out in 2019 it was Hamilton who took the victory, Mercedes won 2, and it was Hamilton on pole position. 2018 was an interesting race back in the Chinese Grand Prix when I think it was Sebastian Vettel who took pole position, but Valtteri Bottas managed to undercut him, and expect many of that tonight as well, doing the undercut on other drivers, because I suspect the top 10 will start on the soft compound tyres like it always is, or if somebody brave enough to go on the medium compound tyres and start on the mediums in the top 10 during the race, because the soft compound tyres do wear a lot here, and overheating is a main issue around here as well, especially in that middle sector. You can be very careful how you tackle the middle sector as well, and the sleepy right-hander downhill after sector 3, turn 11 and turn 12. So yeah, it could be an interesting race to see how the drivers manage the overheated temperatures. But we're in the qualifying session now, 18 minutes, and it looks like it is dry out there, but yeah, let's see then. Not fully sunny. We're just waiting for some of the drivers to come out of the pit lane to start the qualifying session, and yeah, we can see some people coming out of the garage, the Red Bull and the McLaren team. We'll have a look to see who that is. I think that's the Dutch missile. Jensen, the man who took the victory last week, it started P9, so further down the grid. It was raining, so we had a mixture, we had a different grid what we usually have in the dry. Some people getting caught out in the wet conditions, but there we are then. We've got the AlphaTauri, the Alfa Romeo and McLaren all out together. They're going to have to sort themselves out as well before we get to start their flying laps. But we'll go on board with the AlphaTauri driver, Arta Milo, driving for LFR. And I believe they are watching the stream as well, my own team, LFR. So welcome to them, and welcome to Arta Milo for making his debut here in Formula Sim Series.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll get in there soon.
Are you not in the session, mate?
A little bit of it. I'm waiting. I've added the people I need.
We'll just wait for you to get the session then. But all 20 drivers out there, as you can see on the left hand side, that 3 people, the Dutch Missile, Simon and Fleddy, have all opted to go on the medium compound tyres then. So not going on soft straight away, just get a banker lap to see how the track feels and get a taste of what they can do on those medium compound tyres. Then they'll switch over to the soft compound tyres. But everybody out there except the 3 all on the soft compound tyres, and Arta will be the one to start the flying lap first, so have a look to see what he does then. So very crucial to get the tyres in the of temperature range around here, because overheating it can understeer and oversteer around this track. So you've got to get the tyres in the working range around about 85 degrees, as Arta then will come across the line to start a flying lap. So swing it in at the 50-metre board, let the engine do the braking here, as you can see there. Down into third gear, now second, and get a kiss the apex on the entry. Now down into turn 2, got a bit wide in turn 1 and turn 2, might have compromised his entry into turn 2 and turn 3 and turn 4. Turn 5, good exit there, you can see no sides of wheel spin in the exit, because it's very easy to lose the back end as we make our way down into turn 6. There's another opportunity to overtake, but I don't think we'll see many of that, because you need a really good exit out of turn 5 and be right alongside. But yeah, you'll see some people settling for the DRS train. This is where the tyres will work the most, especially around the middle sector. You can see the tyres will overheat during the race, but as we make our way through turn 9 and turn 10, the double left-hander there upshifted to 5th gear to reduce the wheel spin on entry. Everybody is starting their flying laps now as they cross the line, except Joey. Joey's going to be the last man to cross the line. So all 20 drivers out there are starting their flying laps. The AlphaTauri is the first in the queue, and the other AlphaTauri is at the back of the queue as well, so we can see first and last. But Arta Milo there making his way on the long back straight here as we'll make our way towards the DRS zone. We should be approaching about 320 km per hour, 200 miles per hour if you want it in those units, and we'll make our way into the heavy braking zone, the heaviest braking zone on the whole Canada here. As you can see, upshifting to 4th gear, gets a really good exit coming out of that corner as we make our way into this left hand. It can be a bit tricky, has caught some people out in the past. Now let's see then what Arta is going to set as our first lap time, 31.3. Then you can see the Alfa Romeo in the background. Is that Lynx? Yes, it is. Let's see what Lynx does. He replaces him at the top with a 31.1, goes 2/10 quicker as we've got McLaren next across the line, which is Jensen. Jensen not a representative that time, so must have made a mistake somewhere, and he's in P4. Martin in P3 with a 131.6 there, so not too far away from the 30s. And the Dutch Missile, in fact, replaced by the black box, who goes P5. The Dutch Missile in P6. But did I just see a car off the circuit? I'm not quite sure. But MXL goes into P1. The first man in the 30s. And look at that, it's raining. No wonder everybody was out there so close together, as the rain has started to fall on the track. So it's really crucial for all the drivers then to get a good first lap. Jensen might be in a bit of trouble here as we've got Joey coming around the final corner now. Let's see what lap time he sets. He was the pole man last week. Can he do it again? It's a 31.4, just behind his teammates. So the rain has fell on the circuit, and most of these drivers will struggle, such as Noah Jones, who has invalidated his lap time. So he can't afford that, because the track will get wet, and therefore he can't set the times he wants to set. As his teammate Tom, coming towards the end of the middle sector, is on a flying lap then. Shazoo Tom, I think he sat on the podium last week. As we make our way through that long right-hander there, tyres will start to overheat. They'll feel it in that part of the track in the race upcoming. But the Dutch Missile in P10 on the medium compound tyres, not a bad lap time. I wonder why they went on the mediums, because rain has started to hit the circuit. So you would have thought they'd be on the soft compound tyres, unless they did look at the weather radar. But I'm not quite sure why you wouldn't do. But Shazoo Tom will make his way around the final corner. Let's see what lap time he has. Gets a good exit. Jensen goes to P2, but Tom has run out of fuel on the line, but he still goes P7 despite running out of fuel. And information there, Tom has done 2 laps on those set of softs. So the first lap he validated it, and that's why he went for a second lap. He's run out of fuel as well. So Tom just running out of fuel on the line. What could he have set if he didn't run out of fuel? But he's in P7. It looked like a good lap on his second lap. Noah Jones has locked up, but he has not. He's not on a lap time due to his validation. We've got XXT Steph on a flying lap in turn 1 and turn 2, but I'm not quite sure if he's backed out. That he's backed out of it. Chappie Formula, his RP teammate, goes into P14 there. So I think everybody's come back into pit lane then as our first laps are over. Shazoo Jack in the Aston Martin there is in P19. Three drivers have a set lap time, which is Noah Jones, LRB and Jax. Not quite sure if they made a mistake because all 20 drivers were out there, and Shazoo Cone has been disqualified for blocking the pit lane. Now, did he crash at the exit on the entry in the pit lane where Lewis Hamilton lost it? And that's a massive shame for Cohen because I think he was in the top 10 and looking rather safe, but sadly he will start in last place. Not a place you want to start whatsoever. He'll have to make a comeback drive from the back of the grid, will Cohen. That's a massive shame for him. But Jack getting wheel spin and losing the back end there slightly. Who turn 3 and turn 4. You can see the rain getting a little bit heavier now, as the first sector from him is a 24.7. Let's compare that to MXL in the first sector. Let's have a look, shall we? It's a 23.9. So yeah, Jack's then significantly slower due to the weather conditions. You can see they're getting wetter and wetter, so it is slippy out there, and Jack's not getting the full effect of the soft compound tyres. You can see some drivers retiring knowing that the track is getting wetter, and this could be an early end to the qualifying session. So everybody's first lap was crucial. It's just like one-shot qualifying really. But yeah, some people, sadly for them, invalidated their lap times, and LRB and Jax and Noah Jones as well down there in P17, P18 and P19 will struggle to get a lap time in. They'll get a lap time in, but they'll struggle to get one in the top 10 or even near the top. So DRS that is still enabled. As you can see, the track is getting wetter, and yeah, qualifying will be over. But there's still going to be a battle for P17 downwards with Noah Jones, Jax and LRB. Track position is crucial out here, so those three will obviously be out of the track as Noah Jones is on the outlap then, as Jack will make his way around the final corner. Let's see what lap time he says. Not bad. Oh, he's got a bit wide, but he does not invalidate crucially for him. And across the line he goes as a 34.8 then, and LRB is out there and he's invalidated his lap time, sadly for him. So Noah Jones then. 3 drivers are on the track, but yeah, I dare say they'll be all coming back in the pit lane. You can see Noah Jones sliding through the right-hander, downhill right-hander, almost losing the car on his outlap. So the track conditions then very slippery, and the inters might have to come into play. So that's qualifying over then, as LRB has retired, so he doesn't want to go for that P17 spot. So the only drivers out there is Shazoo Jack and Noah Jones, P17 and P18. But you can see there he's really struggling fighting for traction at the exit of the hairpin. He's opted to go for a lap time, but it'll be very difficult now due to track being wet. And this is more like the intermediate conditions, as we'll make our way down into turn 1 and turn 2. We'll struggle through here. Let's see how he tackles it coming through turn 1 and turn 2. Where's Shazoo Tom? He's coming towards turn 12 now. You can Noah Jones then turn 1 and turn 2. Might struggle with traction issues through here, but in fact takes it really nicely, just experimenting with throttle, but can't get any throttle as early as he would have wanted to, as a 28.3 in the first sector. Coming down into turn 6 then. It's slightly wide on the exit. We can see there the back end just sliding as DRS then has been disabled, confirming that the track is wet. And you can see they always lost it, and into the wall he goes and out of the session. So qualifying is over. We're just waiting for Jax to come in the pit lane and retire, then we should be able to make it through the race. So yeah, it was a one-shot quality effectively, and the ones who made the best of it was MXL, Jensen and Hahn, the top 3. Links in P4, Artemello in P5, with Joey in P6. The man who took pole position last week, Joey, he'll start P6 for this race, and that is qualifying over then.
Yeah, it's just one down qualities. You have one shot at it, and if it doesn't work, well, you're gone to the back.
Some people, when it comes to one lap only, like one shot qualifying, people like me, it takes longer to get in the groove, you know what I mean? Because some people might not be good on their first laps, they might be better on the second or third lap, third attempt. Some people really get into the groove on their first lap, such as MXL and Jensen up into P1 and P2. But yeah, it takes longer for some people to adjust to the track, and some people learn quicker than others. And you're finally in the session, Brendan.
Yeah, it's worked out in the end. We got there. I'm happy enough to be here. Yeah. So, I say, sometimes the one-track quality sessions, they can really be very interesting. You don't get that much in them, but for what what little there is, it is very good. I just wonder if anyone will go out in the inters, maybe if they train the race, they might just get a sizer.
There's only one person who hasn't retired from the session. We're all waiting for him. There's always one person who does not retire from the session, expecting him to get pinged in the Discord by other drivers telling him to retire, which he does now. So qualifying is over, and yeah, only 10 minutes in. So MXL on pole position for Ferrari, ahead of Shizu, Jensen in P2, Harm in P3, in the Mercedes, Lynx in P4, Altamelo, the Brazilian driver, in P5, Jerry in P6 ahead of Tom. Martin in P8 ahead of Chris, Black Box in P10, Andrea P11 ahead of Steph, Trappy Formula in P13 ahead of the Dutch Missile, who interestingly went on the medium compound tyres along with Freddy and Simon, so I don't think they expected the rain to come down as quickly as it did, because I think everybody checks the weather radar, but they thought the rain would come in later rather than that early pop. Jackson P17 and then Aston Martin, the man who took a podium last week, I think, or it was his teammate, Noah Jones in P18 ahead of LRB, and Shizu Cohen, the man that got disqualified. So there is a situation. It said this blocking the pit lane, so I think coming out of the pits there is a glitch, well, not a glitch, but Codemasters, I think it registers you if you go too slow in the pit lane exit, it will disqualify you. So I think there were people coming on their flying laps, and Cohen was in the pit lane exit and he slowed down to let everybody go, which you would do, and it disqualified him. I had it myself back in Monza when I slowed down and slowed down to let people go on their flying laps, and I got disqualified. It's a really bad way to go out, because he was in the top 10 and it was crucial for him to be in the top 10 in the wet conditions, and it's going to impact his race now being at the back, so he'll go on the hards and mediums. But I think he set his best lap time on the soft compound tyres, and that's the rule where you start in the top 10, you set your fastest lap time on the softs. He'll be starting in last place on the softs. That was a massive shave for Cohen there.
Yeah, P20, it is never the best starting spot. But it's only up from here.
Yeah, only up there from Cohen. Then it's on his debut for Formula Sim Series, and let's see then the tyre choices. I expect everybody outside the top 10 to be on the mediums. You don't want to be on the softs. In fact, Cohen is on the hard compound tyres. I got told a rule where if you're in the top 10 and you've been disqualified or crashed, you still start the fastest time, but that's not the case for Cohen. He starts down in P20, unless he did his best lap time on mediums, of course, but a lot of them, I didn't think Cohen was one of them, because there was only 3 people on the medium compound tyres in that qualifying session. It was the Dutch Missile was one of them for sure, but Fleddy, I can't quite remember who the other one was. But there it is then. You can see majority of people gone for mediums and hards. Andrea on the hard compound tyres, the Dutch Missile on the hards, and Jax, Simon, LRB, and unsurprisingly Cohen on the hard compound tyres. The ones who've gone on mediums is Steph, Trappy Formula, so both Alpines then have gone for the same strategy, so you'll see one of those two drivers pitting one lap later than the other, preferably the one who's ahead of each other, and Noah Jones in P18, the one on the medium compound tyres as well. Top 10 is on the soft compound tyres you expect. They'll be pitting around lap 7. I know tyre wear isn't great around here. Well, tyre wear is not too bad, it's the tyre temperature as it overheats so much, so they'll be struggling with overheating.
All the high-speed corners it just takes the energy input, it just makes them go skyrocket in temperature. And
exactly.
Quite often you end up with maybe around the end of sector 2, your tyres are up to 106, 7, maybe even 8 if it's bad.
Yeah, all the drivers will have their tyre pressures turned down. Really important for this race, especially. But like you said, the high-speed corners where it looks like MXL has spun and has hit one of the braking mods. I don't think people with no line will be happy about that one, but I think you have to brake at a 50-meter board anyway. But yeah, MXL, they're putting extra temperature in those tyres, and yeah, you don't want to be starting on the grid with overheating tyres and taking some life out of them as well, as MXL then will be landing up on the grid in first place. All the drivers now, look at the I think there's a Ferrari driver at the back, that's LRB right at the back. He's not doing anyone any favours, but obviously on the hard compound tyres, harder compound tyres takes longer to warm up, and not unsurprisingly he's at the back trying to get the best out of them before he gets on the grid and making the top 10 wait even longer, as LRB then crawls towards the line to get in his grid slot P19. LLB finished in P11 the last race. He's in P19, not a good spot, but what can he do from P19? Jax finished in P3 or P4. It was one of the Aston Martins who finished on the podium last time out. It was Jax. So Jax actually in P17 then, missing out in qualifying due to invalidations. But here we go then, in the Chinese Grand Prix. 4, 5 lights, and we are lights out, and away we go for round 2. It looks like MXL gets a really good start. Look at Links making a good start there. Can he get a side by side with Jensen? No, he backs out, so he claims P3. Look at Artemello going side by side with the Alfa Romeo there. You can see the Mercedes are harm going side by side with Links. Oh, that's a massive shit. Looks like a McLaren who's got off there, but Lynx claims P3. He was under pressure from Harman Turn 1. Joey and his AlphaTauri teammate are fighting over P5. They go side by side now, and it was the Dutch missile who spun on those hard compound tyres. As Joey then down the inside, he goes on his teammate in P5. Stays ahead, he was ghosted there as Tom gets a good exit, but somebody spun further back, and that is an Aston Martin of Andrea. Both Aston Martins having a really good bad start here, as Tom in P6.
Yeah, so not the best to start for Dutch Missile or Andrea. It's 20, but well, Cohen up 6 spots.
Yeah, Cohen may having a fantastic start on the hard compound tyres as well. So Cohen really making ground here. AlphaTauri, I think he's been hit, and Martin's just clipped his front wing. I'm not quite sure if Artemello lost it due to rears locking up, or Martin hit the back of him. So yeah, regardless of that, it sent him into a half spin. He got collected by the Williams, unfortunately, and they both have might sustain front wing damage. But look at that, 4 wide just behind us. Black Box, Chris, Trappy Formula, and Noah Jones. Trappy Formula backing out of it, knowing that something might happen down here. Black Box down the inside of Noah Jones, and they all keep it clean, and they all slot into position as well. So good racing from P9 down to P12, and there's a yellow flag just further behind as well. Is that Andrea? Yeah. Simon.
Well, that's a... Okay, so looks like nobody got damaged or anything, but some people have just got caught up there. So, although Dutch Missile actually is kinda... Oh, looks like Ferrari's got a bit wide, and... Yep, LRB 05 is now the 18th.
Oh, they can see that the Haas and the Alpine are fighting. Now the Alfa Romeo is just behind us, which is Freddy. Cohen under massive pressure from Freddy. Unsurprisingly, of course, because Freddy's on the medium compound tyres, wants to make as much ground as he can on those mediums. You don't want to get stuck behind a hard runner, and he stays in P15 then, desperately trying to get past Cohen, who was putting pressure on Steph just ahead of us. He was trying to make his way past the medium runner, but Chris in P11 losing out towards the medium runner of Noah Jones. Noah Jones got a good start off the line. Well, look at the most positions gained, and Noah Jones from P18 to P10. What a start from him in 10th place. He's on the medium compound tyres, of course, so he avoided all that chaos further behind, and he's up into P10. He'll be very happy about that. The Haas has got off of Simon through the tricky corners, and sadly for him, his race has been ruined. He'll be hoping for a safety car as well. Those hard compound tyres not doing any favours, but you can see Black Box is right behind Artemello. He's using the ERS now to try and boost his chances to get past him. They go side by side now. Here we go then, down the inside he goes. Black Box on Artemello, gets down the inside, but the switchback from Artemello has been performed by him. They go side by side as we make our way into the final corner. They want to settle this fight, they don't want to go side by side through here. Black Box takes his place. Noah Jones gets a really good exit, and he gets behind Artemello. The slipstream down into turn 1. The slipstream from Black Box as they make their way side by side into turn 1. Noah Jones swoops around the outside. What a move there from Noah Jones on the medium compound tyres, of course. Into turn 1 and turn 2 we go. Now into turn 3, he keeps P9. So Artemello then losing ground at the start of the race. He's lost 5 places. P5 down to P10. Bearing in mind he did spin. I'm not quite sure why he spun, if the rear's locked up as he approached the heavy braking zone, or he got tapped from behind. But sadly for him, he's down in 10th place. And the worst place for the soft runners, you don't want to be down in P9 or P10 on the soft compound tyres, because you'd be surrounded by those medium runners right behind you. So his race is not going the way he explained. But Simon has retired in the pit lane, so no safety car will be deployed.
Yeah, he spun again, and it is... I don't think he saw much point in continuing on, so hence the retirement.
Massive shame for Simon there. Started in P16, but the hard tyres just never worked out for him. The Dutch missile also spun on the open laps of this race. Tom goes a bit wide coming out of turn 12, I believe, but a Mercedes has spun further behind. That's Black Box. Black Box has spun the Mercedes around, and sadly for him, he'll be dropping down the order like a stone and Tom. Oh, Joey almost hit the back of Harm. He outbrakes himself, and that allows Tom to go through. So sadly for him, just misjudged his braking point. Goes a bit wide. Talk about going wide. Artemello is really struggling on those soft compound tyres. I think it's time for him to pit. There's no point falling down the order trying to keep ahead of these guys. I think his strategy needs to change to get on the best tyres he can, because he did spin. He might be suffering overheating problems. As Trappy Formula goes side by side. In fact, he gets ahead of Chris. Goes a bit wide though into turn one. Does Chris come back? No. Trappy Formula shuts the door immediately, and he is up into P9. Cohen gets his side by side with Artemello. Expect Cohen's tyres to be better than Artemello's been on the hards, as they both make their way out of turn 2 together. They're going side by side, or turn 4 I must say. Coming down into turn 6 then, Cohen has the inside line, should have better traction, being on those hard compound tyres, and Artemello just really suffering on these softs. He's also been overtaken by Fleddy, just can't get into a rhythm with these softs. In fact, he's going back down the inside. Is that a good place to do it? In fact, Fleddy stays ahead.
Yeah, it looks like the softs, they no longer have the grip really. You wouldn't be surprised if you see some people in the next 2-3 laps.
You won't be surprised, and it looks like he's run out of EOS as well. Be vulnerable down the straight because he's got Shazoo Jack right behind him, but further up. And he's keeping on the battle for 5th place. We've got Tom right behind Harm, and Harm's derating on the straight. So Tom, much more a battery, much more overspeed, and there he goes then side by side. And should complete the move down the inside into the heavier braking zone. Locks up on entry. It looks like Harm will come back. He's got very little. Oh, he lost traction there. Made contact with the Mercedes, and hopefully there's no damage. And Tom keeps 4th place ahead. You can see in the background Joey diving in the pit lane. Had enough of those soft compound tyres. He was struggling earlier when he missed his braking point. But Harm is right behind us. And there he goes. Tom defending the inside line. Making Harm go all the way around the outside. Can he do it? Looks like he can't. Looks like he can. He's sticking around the outside. But ultimately Tom stays in P4, completes the move ahead of Harm then. Looks like Martin is really struggling. The gap is 2 seconds. He was 1 second behind. He almost lost it without turn 2 or 3. Really struggling on these soft compound tyres. You can see the softs really are overheating, doing absolutely no favours to anybody. No, not surprised Joey's in the pit lane there to get rid of those soft compound tyres, because it looks like they're not dead, they're just overheated so much, and there's no way you could cool them down unless you really slow down, of course, but you don't want to do. Chris goes off the track at turn 6. He's also another one on those soft compound tyres as well, so he is really suffering. He's been in the dirty and not helping. The high speed corners as well, you're going to really struggle. You'll really feel it in these corners. You can see him just understeering, and look at that. Cohen has more corner speed than Chris, right at the back of him, but not a place you want to do the overtaking. He's got a yellow flag. That's an AlphaTauri. That's Joey. He's just came out of pit lane.
Yeah, just looks like just did not look well there. Maybe just not having the heat in the heart yet, which is the other end of the spectrum for these tyres. Quite soft to overheat, but these hard tyres will have to they'll have to get a couple of laps in them before you really see the performance.
The two Alpines ahead of us are fighting. You got the Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo as we make our way down into turn 14. The Alfa Romeo has the inside line. Chris goes wide and just getting squeezed off the track there by the Alfa Romeo. But yeah, Fleddy goes through then into P12. He goes, and both Alpines swap in position. We've got a step ahead of Trapper Formula. They're both on the same strategy on the medium compound tyres. But go back to your point, Brendan, on those hard compound tyres. It takes a few laps to warm up, but I think Joey pushed it a little bit too hard, trying to do the undercut on the guys ahead. Ultimately, being down there in P18 and trying to get ahead of these guys when they make their pit stop, of course, but sadly pushed too hard and yeah, didn't bring the tyres into the working range. What's happened to Jax? He's fallen down the order. Oh, he's actually hit the wall.
The wall.
Did he go side by side with anybody?
He's got damage anyway. There'll be a pit stop and probably a race ruined.
Cohen's hit that inside curb and he spun. Oh, Cohen, he spun again, and like Romain Grosjean did back in 2012. That's a massive shame for Shazoo Cohen. It's so easy to get caught out in those high speed corners, just putting a wheel on those curbs, lose the back end, and that's a massive shame for Cohen. But thankfully he's on the hard compound tyres, not the softs, otherwise that'll be the race over for him. But got a massive chain right behind Fleddy. Chris is on the soft compound tyres. Surprised he's not gone for a pit stop yet, because the Dutch missile, oh, they make contact, and yeah, that's never going to end well. Cars all over the place. Dutch missile thankfully did not spin, but Harm gets past Tom. He re-overtakes him, goes a bit deep like Tom did a few laps ago, and Tom gets a better exit. Looks like a mirrored move there. In fact, it was the other way around for those two. Tom ahead of Harm there. LRB gets past the Dutch missiles and make our way into the heavy braking zone. As you can see there, all the cars are scrapping. And yeah, LRB then stays ahead of the Dutch missile. And Chris then into the pit lane. He's had enough of those soft compound tyres as Harm is right at the back of Tom there. What have you seen?
Chris nearly went in too hot into the pits there. Almost had a Hamilton style moment without the gravel.
Yeah, could be really careful, especially with those soft compound tyres as well, because he just came out of the third sector when the tyres are very hot, coming into the pits very quickly, and yeah, be very careful not to hit that outside wall or inside wall as well. As Jackson's left the session. Same for the Aston Martin driver and Simon there, but the track temperature, these tyres are catching people out, and sadly, yeah, it's caught a few people out. We've got 7 left on the soft compound tyres if you include Artemello. Surprised Artemello has not got on the different tyres yet because he's in the midfield. There's no point being on the soft compound tyres and being stuck in a DRS train with hard runners and medium runners. You might as well pit, get rid of those soft compound tyres. But Cohen all over the back of him as Cohen tries to regroup as they both make a mistake with that double left-hander.
Yeah, no, MXL made a mistake. We ran a little wide. So can Jensen take the lead here? Would require a bit of a dive, but he's not going to do it. I think he's probably waiting for pit stops now. We might see some undercuts. Probably no overcuts, but who knows.
We've got a change in position there with Tom and Hahn. I think Tom outbroke himself, or it was the Mercedes driver Hahn who outbroke himself. It was Noah Joe to go past the FER driver as Martin then heads in the pit lane to change those soft compound tyres. Being overtaken by the medium runner, his soft tyres have now come to an end and he's in the pit lane to go on the hard compound tyres. All the mediums, of course, not quite sure how long the mediums could go, but Steph is right behind his teammate. The Alpine teammates, Formula and Steph, fighting really hard for P7, both on the same strategy, of course. Like I said, there'll be one of them will stay out later than the other when it comes to the pit stops, but Trappy Formula then gets ahead of his teammate Steph for P7, and Wilson then ahead of Steph. And he's 3 seconds behind Noah Jones, his fellow medium runner, so Noah Jones has gained a lot of positions. Let's talk about this driver. Started in P18 and now he's in P6, avoiding all the drama on the first opening lap, overtaken, and he's done a fantastic job so far, and currently running in P6. 3.3 seconds behind. He was fighting with Martin, for P6, but Martin had enough of those soft compound tyres. He's on the mediums as well, so we've got 20 laps to try and take these mediums to the end and see what he could do. Also trying to do the undercut. Might have changed his front wing as well because he did make contact with Artemello as they made their way down into turn 12, I believe. So he might have changed his front wing because he was struggling and dropping further back. And there comes Jensen then taking the lead of this race on lap 8 out of 28. So it'll be very interesting to see when these drivers come into pit lane.
Yeah, you might see Ferrari come in now, maybe just in response. Or no, Jensen's actually got in. He's going in now. So, and also
Shizou Top, sorry to interrupt, but he almost hit the wall. And Hahn is right behind it, but he's trying to race him in the pit lane. Hopefully don't pick up a 5-second time penalty, which he doesn't do. But yeah, tried to do a Sebastian Vettel, of course, in 2016. But yeah, Tom was already at the pit lane limiter. Oh, MXL by staying 1 lap later. He's struggling on those soft compound tyres. It's a case of do whatever he doesn't do. If he pits, you stay out. If he pits, if he pits, you stay out. If he doesn't pit, you come in. And that's exactly what he's done, because it looked like he was going to go to the pit lane, but Jensen went to the pit lane and he's decided to stay out. The only one, of course, on the soft compound tyres. He'll be just struggling out there so far. He'll love to get off them as quickly as he can the next lap. But Jensen has rejoined down in P10 behind Cohen, who's putting pressure on Luke ahead of us and the Dutch missile in P7. Jensen then coming out of turn 6. You can see the car wobbling just a bit there as he tries to push as hard as he can. Very important to get the tyres in the working range, because we saw what happened to Joey down in P14 there when he, I think he spun the car down at turn 6. We didn't see it live, but I'm presuming he did because there were yellow flags, he was stationary. So Joey then down in P14 on the hard compound tyres. Cohen is on the back of LRB. MXL, I think, will take his pit stop this lap. He has to in response to Jensen. And here comes Cohen on the Ferrari driver of LRB. Takes P6. In fact, they go side by side as they're both In fact, LRB has more ERS, but Fleddy has been overtaken by Steph. Steph has caught up to Fleddy as MXL is in the pit lane then, so be very interested to see where he rejoins. Will he rejoin behind Jensen? I think he will, because those soft compound tyres were definitely dead, and he was making mistakes on it as well, so might rejoin about 1.5 seconds behind Jensen. Make our way to turn 1. We'll find out where MXL is. He's coming out of the pit lane, trundling around 80 kilometers an hour. There comes Jensen then, and guess what? He's fully ahead of MXL.
It hasn't worked out really. He probably thought, I may as well try something to get the lead, but now he's lost out to Lynx as well. It's a case of he's already lost out once. It's just happened again. Although he will have 1 lap pressure tyres, so he may be able to maybe surprise them both later in the race. That's probably his best bet.
Yeah, and he's got Shizu Tom for company as well with him down in P12. If Shizu Tom can stay in his DRS, we might see a battle between him and Tom, but staying out 1 lap later, Jensen doing the undercut like he did at the Brazilian GP, which ultimately won him the race. And yeah, he's done the undercut again ahead of MXL. I think he should have pitted with Jensen because he lost way too much time than he would have wanted. He's about 2.4 seconds behind Jensen, if you count Lynx's time as well. So 2.5 seconds behind, and lost a lot of time standing for him. So MXL then has to show some raw pace if he wants to close up to Jensen. I think he's hoping for Lynx and Jensen to fight. If they do fight, slow those two down, and MXL could join the battle. He's got 2 seconds behind, but Lynx is right behind him then. Into the braking zone we go. Jensen stays ahead, but goes a little bit wide though, but he stays ahead of Lynx for the time being. You can see Tom further back is behind MXL, fighting for P11. And let's see on the straight then, is he close enough? Steph is right behind Fleddy, and Lynx has set the fastest lap of this race. You can see Fleddy's under pressure from both LP drivers as Lynx stays behind Jensen. Shizu Tom is behind MXL as well. So what about Martin? He's going for a move on Joey. Down into turn 1 we go, and Martin then has got himself ahead of Joey for P40. He's on the hard compound tyres of course, so I think his mediums, fresher mediums against not older hards, but a few lap older, and he managed to get past him for P14. It's a shame for Martin. I think he might have sustained a little bit of front-wing damage. That's why he's losing performance in the first opening stint. He might have been suffering with understeer because he was dropping off dramatically. It wasn't even like the case of the softs overheating. He was just losing the downforce at the front there. Crucial for these high-speed corners. I just couldn't take the speed he would have wanted. And he's finally off those soft compound tyres. Didn't want to go for the early stop, of course. Pit on lap 1 to chase that full wing because he would have to do a second stop. And he tried to take it as long as he could on those soft compound tyres, then change his wing and ultimately get back in position. But yeah, no safety car. Lap 11 out of 28. Plenty of things still happen there. Leading the race is Noah Jones by 3.7 seconds. What a fantastic job, Noah Jones. To reiterate again, started from P18 up into P1. He gained about 8 places on the first opening lap there, and Lynx is right behind Jensen. Here we go, they're down into the heavy braking zone. Lynx has got past Jensen. In fact, to go side by side. Does Lynx outbrake himself? No, he doesn't. And Steph has got past Fleddy. In fact, Fleddy's in the pit lane. So lap 12 out of 28. I think he's going to go the hard compound tyres, Fleddy, because those softs can't make it to the end, can they?
No way. And I think the fighting between Lynx and Jensen here, as Jensen round the outside, and be hanging around. 1, 2, 3. He's got it done. It looks like he has it. He's got the move done, but that's only going to bring MXL back in this one.
And MXL 2 seconds behind on lap 10. Now he's 1.2 seconds behind, so he's showing good pace despite being outside the DRS zone. He's gone 1/10 quicker, and look at that, Jensen's got LRB right ahead of him. So this, with LRB right in front of us, this will help MXL. In fact, MXL has got himself in DRS range on Lynx, so that's going to really help him, drag him along and get in a battle for the net lead race in P8 here. Luke is really struggling on those hard compound tyres, going wide, but Jensen, he will look to get past him as quick as possible. I think he might stay behind for the time being and wait for the DRS zone so he doesn't get out-dragged by Lynx and MXL down towards the straight there. But change of position going up the front there, I think, with Andrea and the Dutch missile, but Jensen right behind LRB. He needs to get past him now, and he's also got DRS to boost him along the straight. And Luke will be sitting duck. This is effectively the race for the lead, so I don't think Luke will be fighting too hard, as Andrea has got past Trappy Formula for P3. Lynx going down the inside as well as we make our way to the heavy braking zone in turn 14. both Ferraris now. I think Luke will get out of the way for MXL because he don't want to hold his teammate up, especially when he's fighting for the lead. I think Chappie Formula's in the pit lane. Yes, he is. LRB is in the pit lane as well. As LRB has picked up a 3-second time penalty. He didn't really exceed track limits there. That was a strange one.
Yeah, you can pick up a warning there because you have to pretty much take a corner when you're going into the pits.
Yeah, that explains it. So Chappie Formula was fighting with Fleddy, and he rejoins then in P14. Or does he? I think he does, behind Fleddy. Fleddy has got a 2.5 second gap, so Fleddy's undercut has really helped him, and Chappie Formula has rejoined down in P17. Both Alpines there staying out later than the other. Steph then in P12. Noah Jones currently in this race. To reiterate again, he started in P18. It's a fantastic job at the front. Steph is being followed by Andrea. I think Andrea now will be faster at this stage of the race due to being on the hard compound tyres, and those mediums then will wearing out just a little bit. But Lynx then is right behind Jensen. Battle for P1 here, the net lead race. P6 all the way down into P9. We've got Shizu Tom up the rear of this DRS train as well, so a 4-way fight for P1 in this race, and I think Steph will come into the pit lane at the end of this lap to protect himself against the undercut from Chappie Formula, who he rejoined behind Fleddy. You can see that Andrea has the overspeed of the DRS and the ERS, and he gets past him for P2, and I think Steph will come into pit lane now because he's being swallowed up by hard runners, and you don't want to lose too much time fighting these guys and being stuck in that dirty air and losing even more time. You can see Lynx right behind Jensen then to make our way out the hairpin and coming onto the straight again. I don't think Steph has entered the pit lane. No, he hasn't. He stayed out there one more lap, so he's going for it. Is he doing mediums to soft? Because those guys behind are doing mediums to hard, so he might extend his stint to go to the soft compound tyres. So I've seen people do softer medium and softer hard. A mixture of strategies going on here. What is the best tyre strategy, do you think?
If you can manage it, I would say medium to soft would actually be a very nice one. Because the mediums, you can push them a bit, and then the softs, they'll be fresh. So you won't have that quali wear that's going to be holding you back a couple of laps. Although I would say, for the sake of convention, probably medium hard or hard medium would be the easiest strategy to pull off.
I know I love to do a medium hard or hard medium because I know when I've raced on this track before, the soft compound tyres, it just doesn't suit me whatsoever. They just wear out like lap 2 and lap 3. I always struggle on them, so I know the soft compound tyres are not for me. But Black Box has overtaken Chris for P15 of the race there. Both on different strategies, of course, and Steph then right behind Andrea. He's on the medium compound tyres, might be going for... It's only the logical way, because if he pits now, he's going to rejoin right behind, well, in fact, right behind Chappie Formula, who's just picked up a 3-second time penalty, sadly for him. Lynx is right behind Jensen, might see a move, but no, he doesn't. MXL is right at the back, but guess what? Jensen has got himself in a DRS train. Cohen spun again, not for the first time in this race. Has he hit the wall? I'm not quite sure. I didn't see it fully, but looks like he has. Yeah, left-hand plate is missing. Oh, it's a massive shame for Cohen. He'll be frustrated with that one. 2 spins in this race. One of them was the fast left-hander down at turn 7. The other one as at the hairpin. That's a massive shame for him. As Lynx is going side by side with MXL, and MXL has got himself up into net P2 where he was at the start of the race and ahead of Lynx then, so he's back where he started effectively with Jensen in the fight for P1, and Jensen's 1.2 seconds behind Steph, so if he can get himself in the DRS train or right behind Steph, it might save him just a little bit because he is running low on ERS. Look at MXL's ERS as well. Healthy ERS management there going for MXL. He's got a lot of battery in his disposal, and Jensen's running low on ERS.
Yeah, ERS is very important here with a straight that is around 1.2 kilometers long. So, if you don't really have it, you may be a bit of a sitting duck. And obviously, MXL here, he's got more than half his battery here, so it may not be too difficult for him to pass.
What Jensen does have is DRS, so protect him for the time being, and MXL will see the flashing light at the back of Jensen's car. He will know that Jensen's running low on ERS, so he might play strategic here, sit behind him, save some ERS and go for it later on in the race, but Jensen then stays behind Steph. He's also right behind Andrea as we make our way out the hairpin now. One of these two cars will pit, I think? No, they won't. I think Steph, it's quite clear to say he's going to mediums to softs, because if it was mediums hard, there'd be no point as he rejoined way behind Chappie Formula, who's under pressure from the Dutch missile, who's who's overtaking Trapping Formula. Jensen's gone down the inside of Steph. That's crucial for him because he's put a car in between himself and Jensen. Steph then, the MXL will have to get past him as quickly as he possibly can. He might have to use some of this ERS battery here because Steph is also running low on ERS, so I think it's crucial for MXL. Will he do it down to turn 6? If not, he'll be right behind him throughout the high speed corners. Down the inside he goes. I think he has to make this move, you know, as Andrea goes a bit deep into turn 6. MXL gets clipped slightly from Steph, bit of contact made. Links, crucial for him, gets past Steph as well, so he's lost 2 positions in one corner. Has Steph fighting with Andrea. He's lost touch now with Andreas because he's got 3 cars right ahead of him, but Andrea will also feel the effect what Tom has because he's got 3 fast runners right behind him. So if Steph could stay in DRS range of Lynx, MXL and Jensen, he'll be right behind as Tom has also got past him as well. Unusual place to overtake there. Not quite sure if Steph made a mistake coming out of the double left-hander, just had a bit of oversteer and went off the track, but yeah, he's 4 cars behind Andrea. Andrea will also be a sitting duck on the straight with the lack of, well, he's got some ERS more than Jensen. Jensen's used it to get past Andrea. I don't think Andrea is fighting too hard because he knows this is not really his fight. His fight with his Trappy Formula, Fleddy, Dutch Missile, and Steph as well. As MXL gets past the Aston Martin driver, Lynx will be next to follow.
Lynx arrived in fairly hot there, nearly hit the back of Andrea, but I feel like he needs to get past here now if he wants to keep with the 2 ahead, because now there's pretty much clean air between Jensen and Noah, and obviously Noah still has the pit, so I would expect that to happen in the next couple of laps.
You see they're all bunched up together in turn 3 and turn 4, and Lynx does not want to see Andrea ahead of him. Will he do the same thing as MXL did down at turn 6? Will Andrea defend the inside line? No, Lynx will go down the inside. There he goes then, into turn 6 we go. And he made the move very good ahead of Andrea. And Shizu Tom's next to follow. Steph is outside the 1 second range of Andrea, who he's fighting with. They're both going from hards to softs and mediums to softs, I think. But can Steph do it? Can he go to the soft compound tyres? How early will he put on those mediums? Because they start to come to an end for him. As Andrea then under massive pressure from Shizu Tom. But Cohen has spun again. Thomas was spun again, coming out of the double left-hander. Massive oversteer for him. And Cohen, sadly for him, he spun for the 3rd time in this race, not enjoying this track. Not surprised because it is a difficult track, it must be said. Yeah, so at least he stayed in the race. He's hoping for a safety car, so yeah, hopefully that'll come for him very soon to get himself back in this race. As MXL then takes Jensen for the lead of this race. Noah Jones still out there on the old medium compound tyres, going from mediums to softs, and his pace is really good at the moment despite being on the medium compound tyres. As Tom goes down the inside of Andrea, finally clears the Aston Martin driver, does it cleanly, and gets himself up into P5 and behind the leaders. You can see Steph going wide in the background there. His medium tyres maybe come to an end, but Cohen is spun again, and that's a massive shame. I think Cohen might have to call it a day.
Sometimes just it's in your day.
Yeah, but at least he's staying out there. Respect for him to staying out there, trying to claw something back from this race. That's a safety car. That's a safety car for sure.
Surely.
Some people might not be happy, but the people that will be happy about the safety car is Noah Jones. He could go from mediums to softs if he wants to. He'll be happy to see that yellow flag, but it doesn't look like a safety car so far.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's not a safety car. No.
No, it went that far off. It didn't really matter.
Yeah, thankfully it wasn't a safety car because it would have changed the whole phase of the race. As Black Box has retired, that's out the pit lane, and yeah, I don't think the safety car will be coming out because he retired in the pit lane, so he's also called it a day. But yeah, I bet people like MXL, Jensen and Lynx are happy that the safety car hasn't came out, because the likes of Andrea, Steph, Joey as well, Chris and Noah Jones could come in the pit lane, take advantage of that safety car and put on the softs. Even a virtual safety car would have worked for them as well because of the time lost for Noah Jones. But yeah, his heart would have been racing there as he saw the yellow flag at sector 3 and saw somebody crash. As Harm goes down the inside of Steph with those fresher medium compound tyres. Steph is doing a good job as well, being on those mediums, trying to go from mediums to softs. Both Alpines then on different strategies. They both start the medium tyres as Steph then finally enters the pit lane to get rid of those medium compound tyres and presumably goes on the soft compound tyres. His teammate Trappy Formula wasn't a battle with Dutch Missile, but he's outside the anywhere near him to try and put pressure on him. He's going to have to watch out for Luke, as there's another yellow flags down there. That's Chappie Formula. Talk about him. It's just spun coming out of the hairpin. And he's lost his end plate, as I've just seen. Yes, he has. And may have to make... Oh, he's hit the back of Artemello! And he did not hit the wall, put the brakes on at the right time. No safety car because none of them has crashed. Well, they have crashed, but none of them have lost the wheel. But Chappie Formula reversing there. Don't want to get disqualified. And yeah, that's his race over. Artemello, sadly for him, has been hit the back of and spun for the second time in this race. Tom looks like... Oh, he's a massive oversteer again coming out of the double left-hander. That's the second time he's been off the circuit. Might get another warning, so he could be really careful with penalties. He's got none so far. Might have one more warning left in his locker and could be really careful not to make any more mistakes. Otherwise he'll pick himself a penalty and possibly lose the chance of winning this race. But Noah Jones, 19 laps on these medium compound tyres. I think he might make a pit stop soon because he's getting caught by the leaders. The gap is 1.6 seconds. And you can see the Chappie Formula comes out of the pit lane. These yellow flags down there where he is, but they're gone really quickly. So Noah Jones then finally comes into the pit lane, and he'll put on the soft compound tyres. So hoping for a safety car for him. Hasn't really came his way. You saw that yellow flags came out both times when Shizuko did crash, and also when Artemello and Chappie Formula make contact. Links has got wide. Good move there.
Inside. You got it done.
Really good move. Links, he wasn't even side by side with him into turn 1. I think Links just plain understeered off for wide, and Shizuko was able to make the position. But will Links go down the inside? Tom defends the inside line, and no, he doesn't. He stays in P4. But Noah Jones then has rejoined in P9 on a brand new set of the soft compound tyres. Expect him to be the quickest on the circuit. His first target is Fleddy. Massive tyre difference between those two, softs and hards, so it'll be very easy for him to try and get past the Alpha. The next one will be Martin, who's got Joey ahead of him in P6. Joey, to reiterate why he's not in this train or DRS fight, is because he spun coming out the pit lane on a brand new set of the hard compound tyres 14 laps ago, sadly for him, but still in P6 and doing a good job so far. So Noah Jones then is right behind Fleddy, the Alfa Romeo on the hard compound tyres. Can't quite make the move just yet, so might have to wait for the straight, but be a massive change of speed in the corners because Noah Jones could carry more speed in comparison to Fleddy. Back to the front, MXL then still keeping ahead of Jensen, ahead of Tom and Links in P4. No moves being made down into the hairpin, so watch out for Noah Jones. Then we've got a move coming from him, as Fleddy will have no chance to defend. He's absolutely vulnerable being on different tyres and having no ERS, so he can't really fight that. He's got to watch out for Dutch Missile. Andrea and Steph, keep an eye on them in P11 and P12. Steph going from mediums to softs like Noah Jones has, and he's going to be interested to fight with the Dutch Missile for P10 soon, the last paying points position. So we're going to see a good battle between those three soon. Andrea, Steph and the Dutch Missile. And then Martin is right behind Joey for P7. You would have thought those hards would be a little bit better than the medium compounds, but the medium compounds still sticking in there, as Steph has set the fastest lap of this race, running along very nicely in P12, and will soon be in the back of the Dutch Missile, who's in P10 on the medium compound tyres. But Joey then under pressure from FER Martin in P7.
This would be very interesting then, like those soft runners. Where can they end up at the end of this race, and will the soft tyres basically lose all grip before they can really make gains? For Noah Jones now, I think his next target needs to be Joey and Martin, who are 6th and 7th. I think that's probably the limit, because it'll be another 10 seconds to anyone else.
Yeah, it's a good performance from Noah Jones. Had the pace on the medium compound tyres, but like you said, the gap between Joey and Hahn is about 9 seconds, almost 10. When he gets up to fight them both, to be even longer due to them slowing each other down and fighting, so the gap would be about 10 or 11 seconds. And yeah, it might be a stretch to catch Hahn, but who knows? Has Noah Jones got the pace to try and catch P5? But I think P5, P6 the minimum. Dutch Missile has been overtaken by... Oh, he's actually stayed ahead. He stayed ahead of Fleddy for P10. They were both fighting over the last pay. In fact, he's got ahead, sorry. He was in P10, now he's up into P9. So Dutch Missile then makes his way up into P9 ahead of Fleddy for P10. And soon we have the Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin and the Alpine driver behind us who will catch up as they're both setting fastest laps of this race, Andrea and Steph. So they're really catching these two, ready to take P9 away from those two in their battle for the last paying points position. Noah Jones really catching Martin. He's 1.7 seconds behind now, so he's really gaining on the RP driver ahead, who's in a battle with Joey ahead of us on the hard compound tyres, P6 and P7. Oh, Martin there getting a snatch of oversteer at the exit of turn 6 there as he applies the throttle very early to try and catch Joey. Joey's tyres there should be better on the hards in comparison to those Martin's mediums. The hard tyres could go a really long way in this race, as it proved to be. So can mediums, but hard tyres should be a little bit better than the mediums in terms of performance at this stage. As Noah Jones then is 1 second behind, will be in the DRS detection point at the end of these few corners here, and he'll be on the back of these two very soon. Back to the front. No one's close enough to make an overtake, so the battle for the lead between Martin, Jensen, Tom, Lynx and MXL. Tom there has been struggling a little bit in terms of track limits. He might be on this last warning because I did see him go off the track twice and exceed track limits to the same place he has done in the past 2 occasions on that left-hander, as Martin then is right behind Joey, and so is Noah Jones. The worst thing for Noah Jones is to be stuck here. He needs to make his way. He needs to capitalise on those soft compound tyres while they're on their absolute best. And there he is then on the straight. Noah Jones has set the fastest lap of this race. The Dutch Missile picks up a 3-second time penalty, but they both have DRS. Oh, look at that. He's trying to squeeze his way down the inside. Martin not giving this up. He's got Joey right ahead of him. Noah Jones should have better traction coming out of turn 3, which he does have. And there he is, then made the move on Martin. Martin tried to put up a fire as long as he could, but ultimately had to give up the place due to Noah Jones being on those softs. And next up is Joey. The difference of tyres was 15 laps and 2 steps softer for Noah Jones, so it should be easier in comparison to Martin's tyres. Joey's lagging all over the place, so his internet may be an issue here. Hopefully there's no collision between those two, because the internet can play a factor as well. But out in front, MXL leading by 6/10 ahead of Jensen, with Tom in P3, Lynx in P4. Jensen might be staying behind MXL to save EOS because he was really low. That's probably why he's not going for it, and he's staying behind to try and regenerate some of that battery ready for later on in the race. And MXL will probably know that these guys are not overtaking him, so he's just trying to save his EOS as much as he can. But Joey gets a bad exit. In fact, he's lagging, and Noah Jones then will probably take P6 away from Joey. There he goes then. Noah Jones not using the EOS, knowing he'll get past him down the inside, and into turn 14 we go. Stays ahead, gets ahead, and let's see then, can he close down an 8.7 second gap? I don't think he can, because there's 4 laps to go and he is running out of time. So P6 might be the best for him. Clips the curb of the A-tree there, almost loses the rear end of the car, but keeps it on the racetrack. And next target for him is Harm, who's running his own race, standing P5, 6.1 seconds away from Lynx and 8.7 seconds ahead of Noah Jones. But yeah, his attention will be focused as Andrea does get past Fleddy for P10 then. So Andrea does take the point away from Fleddy, and next up is Steph further behind. But Steph is quite far behind. He was close towards Andrea, so did he make a mistake somewhere on the course of this lap, of this race? 2.6 seconds behind. He was in DRS range behind Andrea at one point, but lost a little bit of time, and yeah, has to regain that time. Can he take P11 away from Fleddy ahead? No safety cars has impacted this race. We were close on 2 occasions when Trapping Formula and Artemello came together at the final corner, and also when Shizu Cone hit the wall out of frustration at turn, or where we are now with Noah Jones. These corners, he just absolutely sent it in the wall, and if a safety car came out, it would definitely benefited Noah Jones, because he could have pitted on the soft compound tyres, and what could have happened there. But yeah, the storyline hasn't been changed to this race. And there we go then with the top 4 yet again on lap 25 out of 28. Let's have a look at Jensen's EOS. Look at that, 62%. And MXL still got a healthy amount. He knows he'll have to save it. He knows that Jensen is staying behind. All the drivers do that. Fighting, we've got Dutch Missile and Andrea fighting for P9 and P10. Then he comes back and a bit of contact made there. Wheel banging 3 times. They go side by side. None of them willing to give up there. Andrea goes back down the inside of Dutch Missile. And it's not over yet, because here comes the Dutch Missile with DRS and back down the inside of Andrea. And he's getting himself out tonight, isn't he? Fighting for P9.
Oh, contact there. Dutch Missile covering the inside. He knew that would have been it. an opportunity there. Now see, now down to turn 6. What can Andrea do? Will he go for a dive? No, it looks like he'd have to wait for the DRS zone then on the long back straight.
Yeah, you would have thought Ajay overtaken Dutch Missile would have pulled away from him, but the Dutch Missile actually came back at him down the straight. They'll go side by side, wheel banging each other, and ultimately the Dutch Missile getting ahead with DRS on the final corner in the detection point and staying ahead of Ajay for P9. This might bring Fleddy back into play, which it does, 8 tenths behind, but Steph, surprised not caught up on those soft compound tyres yet. Maybe the soft tyres, you can see a bit of grain on those soft compound tyres, just wearing out, so already 5 laps in on Steph's strategy, the tyres just not working. Maybe it's overheating is the main issue, that's why it's not closed in. And those high speed corners is really taking effect on his tyres. He's not able to close in on those soft compound tyres, but Adria then right behind Dutch Missile is breaking the toe, and here he comes then. They have to go around the outside this time, or will he outbrake himself? Dutch Missile stays ahead of the final corner. Will Andrea try to do a switchback? Yes, he does. He should have a better exit with those soft compound tyres. They go side by side yet again. It's the final corner we go. Roles reversed. In fact, Andrea backs out knowing you can't go side by side in the final corner, as the Dutch Missile then will be under pressure from Andrea. Andrea having the DRS and ERS. There he goes then. And P9 is his for the time being. But can Dutch Missile hits the inside curb and spins? Not the first time I see people do that, hit the inside curb and spin. Just optimistic and not really thinking about it, as yeah, trying to take the inside line back, but sadly hit that inside curb.
Looks like he tried to bite off more than he could chew. He was just trying to fight back down the inside, but didn't realise it was how little room he had really left. So he had to touch the curb, and well, yep, that is the situation. Last point's gone.
Go on board with the race leader of this race, but the AlphaTauri of Artemello has spun coming out of turn 2. Hello Sparks, hello everybody in the chat, hello Stinson, very nice to see you in the chat, been quite a while. Lap 26 out of 28 then, Jensen's just waited to try and get past him on the final lap. Is the final lap a good idea? Because look at MXL's ERS, despite being in front and having nobody ahead of him to try and save the ERS, he's got a healthy amount of battery, so it's setup wise really good. Must have low downforce, and ultimately could save a bit more ERS. But he's done a good job so far at the lead of this race as MXL. Jensen though, look at that, the battery percent is not even high between these two, about 5% is the difference between those two, so Jensen doesn't know that of course. He probably thinks that MXL is low on the ERS, and the guy stuck in 3rd and 4th must be frustrated, especially Links down there in P4, being the last in the DRS train, not really helping, but he's quite low on the ERS, he's pushing really hard on his battery, but yeah, it's going to be out of position for him as the guys ahead have got much more ERS in comparison to him. And Tom down there in P3 has also got 75% ERS. The top two really saving ERS, ready for the last lap of this race. Who is going to win the Chinese Grand Prix? Will it be MXL? Will it be Jensen again? Jensen won the first Grand Prix back in Brazil, South America, and will it be MXL this time? Who knows? But Jensen then in P2 just waited to pounce. Will he do it this lap? Try and catch out MXL, not wait for the last lap and do it this lap. You can see deploying the ERS, and he's not really closing in, so it must be the last lap for him that is going to go for him. The last lap doesn't always work, because sometimes the drivers in first can always anticipate what you're going to do, and therefore try and defend, ready to use the battery and weave down the straight and stay ahead. But here we go then, lap 28 out of 28 then, final lap of this race. Where's Jensen going to go for it? Is it going to be turn 1? Is it going to be turn 6? Is it going to be a turn 14? I don't think his turn 1 is too far back, but Andrea has overtaken Martin for P8 on the soft compound tyres, and Noah Jones 6.1 seconds behind, so yeah, he's too far back to make any sort of impression or harm, who's been running his own race down there in P5 as Andrea has got into pit lane. That's unusual. Has he got any wind damage? If he did, I don't know why he pitted, because he's retired.
Oh, that's odd. I thought he was going to get points.
Both Aston Martins finished in P3 and in P4 in the last race, and sadly for them it hasn't gone well, because it was P3 and P4. Now it's a double retirement for Aston Martin, so no points for them for tonight's race. There we go then, Tom, right behind Jensen there, the last lap of this race. And Jensen behind MXL, sorry, here we go. Battle for P1, can Jensen get a good exit? Is MXL able to get a good exit? You can see them squirming out the corner as they try to apply the throttle as early as they can. Here comes Jensen then, he looks like he's too far back, but will he try and make a move? No, he can't. MXL does have it covered with the ERS. And he should be able to have it covered in the final corner unless Jensen goes for a dive, which he doesn't do, too far back and knows not to make contact, but that could be it then. MXL then comes out the hairpin in first place and he will make his way around the final corner and to win round 2 of the Chinese Grand Prix. Here he is then. MXL wins the Chinese Grand Prix with Jensen in the second place, Tom in P3, Lynx in P4, Harm, the Mercedes driver, in P5 with Noah Jones in P6, but he actually spins. Oh, he actually saved it as well, clipping the curb. And he almost lost P5 then with Noah Jones, who will finish in P6. Jerry will finish in P7 ahead of Martin. Vleddy is right behind Martin, but yeah, he gets a better exit coming out of the final corner. Martin should stay ahead. And looks like LLB has run out of fuel. That's why yellow flags were popping up on the racetrack. Steph in P10, the Dutch Missile in P11, and LLB, the man that ran out of fuel, in P12. And Chris has also run out of fuel as well. So that's why the yellow flags were in that final sector, and sadly he hasn't fueled the... I think they anticipated a safety car, because safety car is a high chance around the Chinese Grand Prix, and some people might have underfueled the car, thinking there's going to be a safety car. But no safety cars are virtual for the race. Usually get safety cars around this track, but we're close to one where Shizu Cone spun coming out of turn 13. But yeah, that's the race ended then, and MXL with his fantastic ERS management finishes in P1. What a race from him. Yeah, P1 and P2 stay where they are, but Noah Jones from P18 on the grid to P6. What a race from him. And that is the race ended for round 2 then for the championship for Formula Sim Series. Hope you all enjoyed that, with Brendan alongside me in the commentary box.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well. I think, see now, this helps Jensen as he is able to extend his championship lead a little, although it does mean MXL is back in it with that win. So it's still shaping up to be a very interesting season.
It is indeed. So 2 different winners in the first 2 races. Jensen last time out taking victory at Brazil. This time out it's MXL. And let's have a look then. I'm gonna have to look at the calendar because I forget. I just looked at the calendar like an hour ago and I'd already forgotten what the next racetrack is. But yeah, let me find it. It's Monza next, the Temple of Speed. So it could be very interesting to watch racing through there. The curbs around there very difficult, especially at turn 1, turn 3, turn 1 and turn 2, and at turn 4 and turn 5 the second chicane. So yeah, it could be very interesting at the Monza Grand Prix. Can't wait for that one. And there's your results then. MXL P1, Jensen in P2, Tom in P3 in the Red Bull. You got anything to say, Brendan, as we start to end the stream?
I would say I have to say Noah Jones. As from P18 to P6, that is a decent drive. I would say, and a good recovery, because you wouldn't have expected that much from P18. So I'd say well done to him. And I'll say Monza next. We'll probably get a lot of DRS trains next week. Although I'm not sure if I'll be here.
Yep, a lot of DRS trains and probably a few safety cars as well, because it's very easy to make a mistake. So will some people drop it out of Excari or elsewhere on the track? But yeah, Lesmo 2 can be a difficult one as well to negotiate your way around. I think at the exit of the second chicane you can be very careful. Excari is my worst one because it's so easy to drop it the car there. I've seen many people do in the past, but that's it from us. I hope you enjoyed the stream. For all those people watching, I hope you enjoyed it as well. We'll see you next week at the Monza Grand Prix, the Temple of Speed, and also to come with it, Imola as well, for the next weekend. Thank you so much, Brendan, for joining me in the commentary box. It's a pleasure to have you, mate.
Yep, it was very nice to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome, mate. If you commentate with me next week, I'll see you next week.
Yep.